I can manipulate your body with my tongue, with my butt. I can manipulate with anything. That's the way I take it.
I mean, facts. Come ask for a body slide. Like, that's exactly
Mhm.
what it is. It's so funny to me.
Welcome back to Muse on the Mic. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily. Thanks again, guys, for joining us on another awesome episode here at Muse on the Mic, season 4. We're so glad that you're here. Before I throw it to Riley to tell us what we're talking about today, I'm going to give a little introduction. So, all of our new guests and viewers and subscribers, first of all, hi, thank you, welcome.
Thank you.
Make sure you hit that like button while I'm talking about it, subscribe to the channel. But let's fill them in on who we are and like why the hell we're here on YouTube anyway, right? Who knew? So, Riley and I own Toronto's top body rub parlor, which is an erotic massage parlor, a happy ending massage, a rub and tug, whatever words you want to use. That's what it is through and through.
Yeah.
Legal, licensed, legit, and it's been open for 16 years. So, we've been at this a long time. And I'm sure you can imagine that leads to some crazy work stories. So, whether it's behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, or right on the front lines with the clients, with the girls, and everything in between. We talk about it on the pod. And make sure you hop over to Patreon and subscribe there because that's where we put all the XXX stuff,
Mhm.
the extra spicy topics, and anything that would be censored on YouTube. Hop over there. It's $9 a month, like 3 seasons worth to binge because
Yeah.
we put
Go
two
on.
things a week on Patreon. On YouTube, you guys only get one episode. Patreon, you get an extra episode on Wednesdays and a bonus something saucy on Sunday nights.
You got to
So,
get over it.
Riley, tell all of our listeners today, what the hell are we talking about?
Well, as you were explaining, it's kind of our episode. You're talking about we are a body rub parlor. And what does that mean? Because let's face it, there's a lot of people that don't know. And how are we allowed to do what we do and openly speak about it? Because this isn't the hush hush kind. We are legal and licensed. So how did we find ourselves in this position? What does our license allow us to do? We are in Toronto, Canada for context, so you know.
Yes. How did we find ourselves in this position? Is like that's gonna be the title of our memoir because how the hell did this life happen? It's been a ride, right? And
Yeah.
so but that's the good part because without
Yeah.
all that, who would want to talk about just their boring office job or something on a podcast? I mean, lots of
Right.
people do, sorry. But
Yeah.
we think ours is more interesting because it's crazy. Like when
Hmm.
bad shit happens, it's really bad. When funny shit happens, it's really
Really
funny.
fun.
When a great day happens, it's a banging good day. Like there's
Yeah.
very little middle ground. It's just like wild, crazy, happy, like just all over the map in extremes.
Hmm.
And I think the first instinct people have is, especially when they hear rub and tug, it's kind of an extreme statement. And
Right.
I think the assumption is, oh, that must be illegal,
Hmm.
or that must be really grimy, or like, ew, I've heard about those, or some thing that like some Hollywood movie made us all look bad or
Hmm.
something. And that's actually not the case.
No. And I mean, let's be real. We can't comment on all parts of the world because there really
Mhm.
is some illegal ones and there really is some really grimy ones. But in Toronto specifically, there is 25 legal ones. And I didn't Google this, but I'm gonna guess there's hundreds of parlors in Toronto. But when you're seeking one out, gentlemen, find a legal and licensed one because there is 25 and each region kind of has its own number. So we're just going to talk specific to Toronto today.
Absolutely. It's kind of it's weird and interesting all at the same time, right? Like to talk about licensing sounds like a bit of a snore, but that's not really kind of what we're going to focus on. We're not going to go through, bylaws and
Mhm.
clauses and things like that. It's how are they established? Why is there only 25? Why is it even called a body? Like what is a body rub anyway?
Mhm.
What does the city call it versus what do we define it as?
Right.
And you're right. Other major cities in Canada, other provinces, obviously have their own constructs. In many ways similar to ours,
Yeah.
or inspired by and reflective of. And yet there's nuances city to city too on differences. No different than there's nuances amongst the 25 because just because it's licensed doesn't actually mean it's like run properly. And yet,
Mhm.
I agree with what you said. From a client's perspective, legally, you're best off to go to a licensed proper place. Just like a strip club is allowed to be a
Mhm.
strip club. And those licenses too are called different things in different cities. Some you're called a stripper. In Toronto,
Right.
you're called an adult entertainer. And
Mhm.
actually, it's a body rub parlor, and the girls are body
Body
rubbers.
rubber. I
Oh
mean,
my
that's so
God.
cheesy.
Could we not have thought of something better at that meeting?
Body
Seriously.
rub parlor attendants, they should be called. Body rubbers is
Literally.
just
This is
silly.
a rubber of bodies. But you know what? It's been a long time. I mean, body rub licenses have existed in Toronto at least since the 70s.
Hmm.
Um, I know that the last time our bylaws were updated was in the 80s.
Right.
And by updated, I mean like they added a comma, an extra period, like it was barely any improvement. But
Hmm.
since then, half of what we lobby and fight with, Toronto councilmen and Toronto council, and therefore the city trying to get like amendments made to the bylaws is because they were written in the 80s. And
Hmm.
this year, the year of 2025, on like Beyonce's internet. How the hell are we still operating under the constructs of the 80s? For
Hmm.
example, as a company, we are not allowed to have digital business records. Like our accounting
Right.
records, the day sheets of the clients coming in and out, the deposits of the total money, and things like that. It's supposed to be pen and paper. And when
Right.
bylaw come in, if they really feel like being sticklers, they could ask to see this
Hmm.
mysterious Mountain O paperwork. Like who
Killing all
has
the trees.
the space? Yeah, who's doing that? Like with our whiteout and our pens just sitting like
Hmm.
it's crazy. And yet they're also not stupid. They're not out here ticketing people because they use QuickBooks. Like
Right.
crazy, equally crazy. And yet when we go to these meetings or when we bring up a clause with the city, the first reaction of the people paying attention is always like, that's what? That doesn't make sense. Are you sure, guys?
Hmm.
And then they never change anything.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's an old system, but in some respects, it's useful. And I think the main reason for licensing, which at some point in the early 80s, we were deemed a nuisance.
Yeah.
So they stopped issuing further licenses in Toronto. So that's why these 25 are grandfathered and so highly coveted. But what the licensing encompasses is things like zoning. So there's
Yeah.
a good purpose for that. We're not to be around schools and churches and children in residential, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
They also govern our hours, which I don't really agree with. Like, who's to tell us when we can operate? We don't sell alcohol. So, I mean, if we sold alcohol, I understood, but they have certain rules in place. They do have some strange rules in place that we don't necessarily agree with, although they're not generally enforced. Things like the way the girls should be dressed. Again, pro-choice people, but so be it. But Muse has a long-standing good relationship with the City of Toronto and bylaw, and I think if you have that relationship as a business, you're not really targeted. There is problematic people, even
Hmm.
that hold one of these licenses, and we're just not. So I think the reputation over 16 years has given us grace. They don't really come in and check on things because generally it's on the up and up. But the check isn't a negative, right? Like, I mean, sometimes
For
you
sure.
need to be checked in on.
Yeah, I think in general, I mean, some of it plays into the fact that we have a great like relationship with them. Like you
Mhm.
said, we don't get nervous when they visit whatsoever. I realize clients sometimes might, but if
Yeah.
you're listening, don't. You don't have any reason to. First of all, no one's in any trouble. And even if they
Mhm.
were, they're not cops. And
Right.
cops visit and check things too, and you shouldn't be worried about them either because they're looking for danger and things that the girls might be in trouble with. But in general, I welcome enforcement. I think the more
Mhm.
present they are in the industry, the more of like a follow the rules presence they give.
Mhm.
And there will always be the spas that don't, but they will get the attention they deserve in that regard, right? And
Mhm.
like it's not necessarily like you said, some of the bylaws are weird. Rule breaking doesn't always mean like illegal or
Mhm.
criminal or like violent or anything like people often associate with the adult world. It's little things like offering every customer a paper receipt First of
Right.
all, nobody has one of those charge card things anymore.
Yeah.
No one's out writing carbon copy receipts and giving him his copy, and no client is leaving with a receipt from the rub and tug.
Right.
It's freaking madness. Like, are we trying to cause divorces? Like, are you crazy? And again, they don't often ticket for that kind of thing. That said, like with anything, there are phases and seasons
Mhm.
and moods that happen. And what if their new boss that just started that week decided to talk for 20 minutes in the meeting about paper receipts? Well, then
Right.
they might all think, well, that the message means we ask for these stupid receipts, which I'm sure they dread because they know every single place the people are going to go, are you fucking serious? Like,
Well, and
when they
I
ask
don't
some
think
things, we're like,
even
okay.
yeah.
But other things, like, forget it. No, we don't have receipts.
And I don't think they actually even care. I feel like if and when that happens, which it hasn't in ages, something so silly like that, but it's almost like there's a quota for like just no different than cops handing out speeding tickets. Like we need
Yeah.
more revenue, and revenue is part of why we're licensed. They want the licensing free from the establishment, and then under that tier follows all the girls. So they also pay to be licensed, and that
Mhm.
does come with some security for the client because she does a
Yes.
criminal background check, she does a medical clearance, which I think most sex workers take care of their health quite well. Um,
Mhm.
but it's the city's way of ensuring you're dealing with a healthy individual, which I don't think is a bad thing either.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the premise and the intent is really good.
Mhm.
The bylaws obviously need some tweaking. And
Yeah.
it's not we're not pushing for things that can be like, can we be open 24 hours? Woo,
Mhm.
titties for everybody. Like, we're not asking for that. We're asking for enhanced safety procedures. We're asking for certain bylaw clauses to be eliminated so as to make room for modern day security
Right.
measures. In the 80s, camera surveillance, for example, wasn't a thing. It wasn't something you could just hop on your phone on a Ring doorbell and see
Right.
what's going on at home, in the living room, or at the office. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't even fathomable back then, really, in that regard. And so, of course, there's no clause for that, of course. But like, for them to say, well, it's not in here, so it's not allowed is lunatic.
Mhm.
And in terms of the spas like us that kind of err on the good side of things, first of all, Riley and I are kind of nerdy. We like our personal lives. We don't want to be on the
Right.
news. I
Yeah.
don't want to be on the news. Like, I don't need to be on CP24 when everyone's having
Yeah.
dinner and just be like, hi, Toronto. Just make ourselves more known, unless it's an advertising opportunity, in which
Right.
case sign us up. Um, but at the same time, like, we don't want to encourage any of those kind of negative things that come with that kind of circumstance, which means a lot of bad is happening in the parlor, enough that police were investigating, enough that the full investigation led to the press finding out to end up on the
Mhm.
news. Like, there's a lot of things that have to happen before you get to that point that probably could have been avoided. But we also don't want to have to pay a bunch of legal fees just because
Mhm.
we're frivolous about rules, especially rules that can be avoided. I
Mhm.
mean, again, they don't ask for paper receipts, but you bet your ass we have some books of paper receipts that we can
Right.
write them up in a jiffy if we need to.
Yeah.
There's one bylaw clause about lock boxes for clients to
Mhm.
put their belongings. Well, back in the day with no like surveillance, maybe in a gym, it was more risky to leave your wallet laying out. And so you needed lock boxes, aka
Mhm.
lockers, to put your belongings, right? We're in private rooms, and I mean, the only person that would be stealing is client or attendant. And
Mhm.
if either are stealing, well, then neither can come back. That's just
Right.
that's the solve right there. And like the sizes of the lock boxes is like debatable. Are they supposed to be a certain size? Can they just be a little thing for your phone? Does it need to be a full school locker? Like,
Right.
there's no definitions and vague areas throughout all of it. And over the years, listen, we've been doing this long enough to see the phases. We've seen bylaw officers get hired and fired. We've seen what it looks like when they're training the new guy.
Right.
We've seen what it looks like when they fuck up, which they do. Everyone can on their jobs,
Mhm.
right? It's just a job for them. Um, and working with the officers is often for us quite easy. We have great relationships with them. They
Yeah.
love us. In fact, even if they're not there to check our licenses, they'll stop in just to like pee and use the bathroom because it's cleaner than the other places. And
Right.
we're like, first of all, oh, and second of all, ooh, where are you going? Like, what's out there? That's
Yeah.
disgusting. Boys pee standing up. You're telling me you can't pee at a dirty spa? How dirty is it?
Right.
And they will detour to be like, can I use the bathroom? Like, it's a legit thing. So, moral of the story, as Riley said, look for the 25, and then from there, do your research on what the quality is because
Yeah.
there's legit differences like that. It's, I would not ever want to be a bylaw officer, but I'd love to go on a ride along one day and just be like, what do you do all day?
I think it'd be neat, but we're nosy and we're in the industry, so I'd want to peek around everywhere else. But I think we have a lot of, because the pod is global, we have a lot of different viewers from a lot of different places in the world that this could be
Mhm.
highly illegal where they live. So this really,
Yes.
it might be a little bit eye-opening for them to know, all the more reason to come to Toronto, but it is licensed and legal. And I wonder sometimes if people listening might think, like, how are these girls talking so openly about
Mm.
Muse or the sex industry? And this is why we have a license behind us
Yeah.
that we have that comfort to do so.
It's true. Being doxxed and having a license,
Right.
that'll do it. And here we be. If you're curious in those stories, hit up YouTube season one. The beginning, like what, 12 episodes, some odd? We tell the backstory on the building of Muse, and Lord, is it dramatic?
Yeah.
Netflix, if you're listening, we've got stories. We've got seasons with an S at the end.
Yeah.
But you're right. There are definitely countries where it's highly illegal. There's definitely places where it's under the radar or it's hush
Hmm.
hush or nobody talks about it or you need to know the secret password or some like situation and all variables and variances of that everywhere. And I think in Toronto, we're really lucky.
Yeah.
There are definitely other Canadian cities that have either body rub licenses themselves or the equivalent. They might call it something else, use different
Hmm.
terminology, and definitely some nuances there. Um, but it's why we're able to do what we do, not just
Hmm.
legally, but it's also like Toronto, I think, is lucky because we have the 25. Montreal has four.
Okay.
Ottawa has three. Like it's such smaller scale in every
Hmm.
city and even bigger places. Well, Montreal's a big city, but even places like Vancouver, Edmonton, different areas, kind of the West Coast, it's still just like a dozen or
Hmm.
16 or 22. Like there's definitely the most of them here in Toronto. And in some respects, compared to other cities, the longest or near the longest, and like inspo was kind of happening from
Yep.
other jurisdictions and other little neighborhoods to kind of create those initial bylaws. And yet here in Toronto, we also have an exclusive issue that they don't have in other cities because we also have something called holistic licenses, and
Right.
they are often misused as body rub parlors because of the cap. Because we're in such a big city, you technically could probably fit in more.
Hmm.
And the city created the holistic license so as to help give a kind of a middle ground between, let's say, a nail salon or a full aesthetics shop or a medical aesthetics type place where there's nurses and things like
Yeah.
that versus the total extreme to nudity being in the body rub. And so holistic is supposed to be hot stone massage, aromatherapy, shiatsu, reiki, those kind of things. And there's a lot of gaps in those bylaws. I certainly would have written them that way.
Hmm.
And so people found a loophole, which is the
Hmm.
holistic license. And so it is a constant thing. There are probably a good 500 some odd holistic parlors in this city.
Hmm.
When there's I think it's 1,200. Last I checked, it was 1,200 total holistic licenses
Wow.
available. Um, and they're purchased for about 1,200 bucks, and you
Hmm.
just set up shop and away you go. Whereas
Yeah.
with ours, because they're grandfathered and they're all in existence, they're all operational and owned, to get one, you have to buy one. And that means
Hmm.
buying someone's business. And if anyone has ever bought a business before, you know that that usually means 2+ years of revenue. It's an adult business. You can do that math. I
Right.
won't, but you can.
Mhm.
And so to purchase these licenses, it ranges in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, upwards of a million plus to
Mhm.
buy one. So the investment and therefore the responsibility and accountability is quite different than a $1,200 holistic that you just set up shop. And even if they close you down in 6 months, oh well,
That's
no
a new
loss,
one.
no foul.
Yeah.
Right. And so we get dragged in, all of the owners of body rep parlors get dragged into these really awkward meetings with the city sometimes. Like lobbying is awkward, lawyers are particular, you've got to be a little more professional, a little less penis talk. But going to a meeting with a whole collection of rub and tug owners is hands down the strangest circle you could be in. It is the weirdest environment. It is a bunch of people that absolutely hate us.
Mhm.
Like, if looks could kill was made for these meetings. That expression. If they could throw fire daggers and explode us in an instant, they would if they
Right.
could. Because just let's eliminate them. Oh, no more Muse. Their
Yeah.
life would, in some ways, be better. In some ways, they'd miss us. But still, we're dragged to these meetings to talk about these issues. And one of the issues that comes up all the time is these damn holistic licenses. And it technically funnels business away from us
Mhm.
because there's all these other options for customers to go to, which is great. But at the same time, it dilutes the market. It waters down what we're paying
Mhm.
for, again, in the hundreds of thousands of dollar range. Their renewal is like 460 some dollars every year. Ours is upwards of $15,000. So
Mhm.
again, the investment, the accountability, what you've put in and therefore what you're on hold to
Yeah.
is just different. And yet that in itself boggles me when you look at some of the more gungy body rub parlors in Toronto. Because how are you spending that much money and then just risking it for the biscuit? I'm like,
Right.
what? Like, is this
Well,
why we bought this so we can get our own penises touched? Like, what?
yeah.
What are they
Well, I
doing?
mean, Emily and I are very, like you said, by the book because this is our
Mhm.
livelihood. So to risk it,
Crazy.
there's no way we could ever put that on the line. But for some of
Right.
these other people, I mean, lawyers are good. They've never been shut down. There's
True.
loopholes for everything. But I think people on the outside want that cap to be opened. Let's have more than
Mm,
the 25. And listen, if I were still holistic, I'd be wanting the same thing. But being one of the 25, we're very, it's precious to us. We need to keep the number
mm,
small. We need to keep our value high. So keeping that cap is really important to most body rub parlor owners, which is why we come together. Whether we like each other or not, whether how we run our business is the same or not, we all have the same common goal, and that's keep the 25 limited
yes.
to that number.
You want to go deeper? You want to go all the way? Let's go deep throat. Hello, my wonderful patrons, and welcome back to another episode of Deep Throat, where I take you deeper and deeper into everything sex work, and pretty much anything naughty outside of your Christmas list. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about booking an appointment with your favorite sex worker. It may seem like a simple secretarial item, but it's actually part of the excitement and the build-up, all of the information that you need in order to reserve and decide to book that appointment, and then why the policies are what they are and how they vary across everything from independent escorts to escort agencies to massage parlors, dungeons, dominatrix, and the lack of appointments in a strip club. So there's a lot of variances, and I want to dive into the trends, why, who's causing it. I'm going to point the finger at you guys a little bit because policies change due to trial and error. So let's dive in and make sure that you can get the appointment you want, the attention and time you deserve, and the best ways to go about doing this so that everybody's happy and satisfied and it's a smooth, private, simple process. That's really the goal. I would say in general, at anything that's in-call walk-in available, like a brick and mortar, like a massage parlor, you can walk in anytime. But if you want someone in particular, you need to book an appointment. And that always comes with some sort of policy. And various spas and parlors obviously have their own policies, most of which involves a confirmation. Because I'll tell you this, nothing's worse than a no-show. If you were, let's say, an outside or outbound salesperson, and you had to go meet with customers in order to close the sale, or you were, let's say, a hairdresser who rents a chair and needs to fill her chair every week with appointments and therefore clients and therefore money, your income, your livelihood, no shows can really hurt the bank, and that can really stress a worker out. It can stress the company if it's a parlor or an agency, and it gets a little dicey, right? At the same time, you guys want ease of use, privacy, and like simplicity, right? And so there's been kind of an evolution over the years. I found when I first started working, which was back in the year 2000, there was a lot more walk-in traffic and a lot less appointments. And nowadays, especially with the dawn of communications via social media, emails, the internet, etc., most independents, agencies, and parlors alike all have some kind of confirmation policy and booking procedures. I've never been a stripper, although I've definitely been a customer. I learned that it's actually not a thing to book appointments with a stripper. And shout out to one of our former muses who gave me a whole lesson on how that works. You could kind of eyeball the time and say, okay, I'm going to look out for Frank because he said he'll be here at 9:30. But beyond that, there's no real way to reserve it. And I found that interesting because what if that's the only time he has to come visit you? And then what if he no-shows? We don't like a no-show. To that.
You like that? You want more? Subscribe to the Patreon and I'll take you deep throat.
You know, it's weird. Like now that I'm listening to you say that, strip clubs don't have that same issue. I mean, they're
Mhm.
capped. There's 16 of them. There was
Okay.
16 of them. Through the pandemic, a few of them lost their life. Not the people,
Mhm.
the clubs, and are no longer. Like Jilly's. Jilly's closed
Mhm.
down. You know, there's some like if you know Toronto landscape and you know Toronto's like buildings and stuff, there's some downtown iconic strip clubs that are just part
Right.
of the cityscape. Like it's built in, it's always been there,
Yep.
and you expect it always will be. And then when it isn't, it's kind of shocking. It changes how the whole neighborhood looks. But
Mhm.
anyways, they don't have a middle ground, weird holistic license that's somewhere between a nightclub and a stripper den. Like
Mhm.
there is no place that's like, well, titties are out, but we serve nachos. Like it's just
Right.
so it's weird. And yet there's less of them. I think throughout the pandemic, there's actually three that closed down, if I'm correct. So there's only like 13 or 14 still in operation. And yet no one's demanding those two other licenses suddenly come back to life and pop up, you know,
Right.
north of downtown or something like that.
Mhm.
They're also not zoned the same way because drinking, nightclub atmosphere has different, you
Mhm.
know, stuff. They're also not open at 9 a.m. like we are.
Right.
So it's a different world, and yet they don't
Mhm.
have to deal with that nonsense. They lobby
Yeah.
for other things. They fight the law on other aspects. The fact that they have alcohol brings a whole whack of other responsibilities, problems, health inspectors, you know, noise complaints. Like there's a lot of other stuff that they can deal with. But it's weird because I'm sure brothels, it's the same. Like, what's a middle ground license to a brothel? Like, you either fuck or
Mhm.
you don't. The middle ground would probably be what we do and not a
Right.
holistic. Like, it's just bizarre. And I'm trying to think of other licensed type businesses. So you have a bar and a liquor license. There's no like, if it's 4% cooler, you can buy it on the corner.
Right.
But if it's 10% or higher, you got to go to a bar. Like there's no other place where it like waters down that market, skirts the law, yet under a license given by the city going, well,
Mhm.
you gave it to us.
Right.
So it's technically holistic owners could say, well, it's your loopholes. It's not my problem.
Mhm.
Fix the rules. Like
Right.
there's an element to that because we've said the same thing, fix the fucking rules. Like
Yeah.
at what point do we just get to fixing? And they never do, which is annoying. It's a waste of money to lobby, but it's necessary. You need a presence
Mhm.
because if there ever is going to be that change, you need those relationships always already established. Politics always comes into play, but it's funny to think like doctors need licenses, lots of people, construction needs like permits. Is there a middle watered down permit to be like, well, I'm only building half a wall, so I
Right.
don't need a, you know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
the holistic thing is actually really bizarre. And yet people do it all the time, multiple times over. You could be shut down, get a new holistic license
Right.
tomorrow. Like it literally is that it's that easy The costs are that astronomically less, while ours are astronomically high. And you would think the city would then put more weight into what the hell we have to say, and they don't.
Mhm.
It's like a common thing with any sex work law reform. They never talk to the sex working people.
Right.
We know what we need. And listen, I don't expect that a city, a government, whoever's in charge is ever going to say, we're not giving you everything,
Mhm.
or we need to rein it in a little bit. Sure, there should be nuances, but you can't sit there and tell us that we don't need more safety measures when we're literally telling you we need more safety measures.
Right.
And the irony is that the people that see those things more often is law enforcement. It's bylaw and cops, because if there's a robbery, guess who's called? If there's
Mhm.
violence, guess who's called? Like, they're not clueless to what goes on in some of the gungier places, or a bad
Mhm.
experience, a bad time. Listen, this industry has been through some phases where someone that wants to rob parlors goes through all of them. Like,
Mhm.
it does. Bad shit happens, right? And you would think going then the next week to bylaw and saying, okay, we need to talk about this. We need to tweak some stuff. And them just kind of going, la, 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 la. Well, they don't hear you, is beyond
Yeah.
aggravating. It's probably the most stressful and irritating aspect of our jobs, other than the day-to-day headaches. But like, it really is aggravating. It really is nonsensical, and it's damn expensive. And so I think that's where we also fall on the whole, like, we don't want to accrue a lot of tickets. We don't want to spend a lot of money to lawyers. I'd rather spend that money lobbying in the hopes that something changed than
Right.
getting tickets for things that we could have fixed on our own and were perfectly avoidable. To me, that just
Mhm.
seems silly. What I would
True.
prefer more than all of that is that we could just get these changes without having to spend any fucking money. Because what? Like, do you not want your citizens safe, sir,
Mhm.
Mr. Mayor? Like, what? It just, where's the logic? There's no common sense left in the world, but it's something we deal with all the fucking time. And the
Yeah.
holistics are everywhere. So Riley's absolutely right. Gents, do your research, find the 25. That list is available. Just Google. If not, you can ask us. We can send you a list. But I think it's important. And then in that 25 mix, there are still some shady places.
And if you're not in Toronto, come and check it out, because it is, it's a
Yeah,
wild world out here. There's lots to put, like lots of
it
time to put.
really is. And listen, we're in a political construct right now where a lot of Canadians are traveling inside Canada a lot
Mhm.
more. No offense to our American listeners, but we're on a bit of a protest right now.
Mhm.
We're on strike and we ain't coming. But a lot of y'all are coming up here too. So the more the
Right.
merrier, whether you're coming across Canada or up from the south or flying overseas and across the pond, definitely come check it out. And even as a traveler, you can feel perfectly safe coming to a place like
Mhm.
Muse, because although we do have license inspections, they're there to check the girls. There's nothing to do with you. You have no obligatory licensing as well. It's up to us to show our business license. The girls vouch for themselves with their licenses. The manager kind of controls the process and the
Yeah.
system. You could possibly never see them. There are times clients have been in sessions, full sessions have occurred. They never knew that like law
Mhm.
enforcement came by to check a thing or two. And even cops. I'll kind of quickly reiterate that too. When cops come by, there's a particular squad called the morality squad, and their particular aim is always on the girls. So, are you here of free will? Are you safe?
Mhm.
Are you harmed? Do you need help? Do you need assistance? Do you need anything that they can do? And they are kind of a go between. If
Right.
someone does need some kind of services, if they are being pressured, or if they're, even if it's something personal, if they're in a domestic situation at home or something, these officers will get you to where you need to be
Mhm.
to either get you safe, match you with the resources possible. And they're very kind and very supportive. So we don't flinch when they come in at all. And
Mhm.
if ever a regular Joe Schmo cop off the street comes in, they're checking for criminal stuff. They're looking like, are
Mhm.
there underage girls? Are there drugs? Are there alcohol? Well, I can guarantee you at Muse that never happens,
Right.
because we are equally strict and kind of nerdy about that. But I welcome them. Come check, because each time they
Mhm.
check and don't find that, it adds to our positive reputation with law enforcement. And
Yeah.
bylaw officers, it's 6 people, 8 people tops. We know them, they know us. Cops can come from anywhere in the city. They may have never even heard of Muse before.
Mhm.
And so if they come in and have a fabulous little inspection experience, we're super professional. We give them a lollipop and a bottle of water before they leave. They're like, the place was great. And like, off they
Right.
go. And we're pretty nerdy. We'll call them the next day and be like, Officer so and so, I heard you were in. Is there anything I can help you with? Any follow-up
Mhm.
questions? And they're surprised because they don't expect that from a Robentug.
Right.
And they're kind of like, hello? Are you sure? And listen, we come from corporate backgrounds. Isn't that how you're supposed to behave? Do you not do a follow-up
Right.
call the next day? Like, to me, that seems pretty ordinary, but they
True.
seem like shocked every time. And I think it's great. I think, like, I'm
Mhm.
like, come back anytime. Like, not that we want officers to be parked out in front, but we have nothing to fear about it. And I feel like if ever a client is there and maybe they've seen this, maybe they've lucked out and been there twice when it's happened. The more
Mhm.
they see that they come in, they inspect and they leave and nothing happens, that too is good against the stigma of law enforcement being in
Mhm.
because it doesn't mean a raid. It doesn't mean someone's being shut down. No one's being arrested. There's no chopper from the news outside. Like,
Right.
there's none of that. They come in, they inspect, and they go home. And if there is a problem, they deal with it. And trust me, some of the spas do have problems. And their visits are much longer at those places. But if
Right.
they're out in 7 minutes, I'm like, beauty of a day. Like, to me,
Yeah.
that's just such an accomplishment. Job well done to the front desk, to the whole team that's on staff that day. And we'll make that follow-up call the next day. And now we've made a new friend with a cop.
Mhm. For sure.
Can always have more of those. So it's how you kind of operate. It's how you choose to operate with most circumstances in life, right? You make
Mhm.
your own decisions, you get your own consequences. But gosh, I wish amendments, especially safety regarded, were easier to fix. I wish more people knew of the words body rub, but now they do because of the
Mhm.
show. And now you can feel comfort when you hear that word. But why is it even called a body rub? What is a body rub? Do you remember the actual definition, right?
It's something like to manipulate the body by any means. Something like that.
To massage and manipulate the body by any means, which to me is the most vague, fucked up
Mhm.
sentence I've ever heard. What do you mean, any means? Can a
Well,
horse walk across? Like,
I can
what's any
manipulate your body with
means?
my tongue, with my butt. I can manipulate with anything. That's the way I take it.
I mean, facts. Come ask for a body slide. I think that's exactly
Mhm.
what it is. It's so funny to me. It's so weird. Again, body rubber still comes to my head. And so a
Mhm.
body rubber performs a manipulation of the body by any means. What
Mhm.
any means will throw me. There's no world that you can cook chicken by any means as long as it gets to this temperature.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me? That's shady. I'm not eating your any means chicken. That's
Mhm.
crazy. And so, but it gets over the history. If you were to meet our lawyer and hear his funny stories, who we should totally get on the show one day.
I
He's
would love
got some wild stories because he's also been through it since the 70s
that.
too. Um, but like a lawyer is gonna like use the words and kind of like do his lawyer thing to kind of get his way through. We like to be kind of literal in the lingo so the clients know what to expect in the lingo. And
Mhm.
any means is just wild. But a good
Right.
lawyer can get you off a lot of tickets because what's any means?
Mhm.
It's just
No, I think
it's a double-edged sword.
the bylaw in our favor is written that way. I don't think it
Yes,
serves them at all because it is
please.
absolutely fightable. What do you mean you can't do anal? It's any means necessary. Like it's bum penis. Like they don't define it, therefore any means anything. Is
Yeah.
fair. Fair game.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it because like any means it sounds like the Wild West. It's crazy to me to think
Mhm.
that especially because we're talking about legal documents. Like we're not even
Mhm.
talking like a letter from some congressman. This is legally written, stamped, sealed, and delivered since the 70s that
Yeah.
any means is possible. It's wild. It's
Mhm.
absolutely wild. We're not supposed to have alcohol in there, but what if any means a beer bottle up your butt? Like, there's just so much. It
Right.
just leaves too much wiggle room as far as I'm concerned. But you're right. If we were lawbreakers or rule breakers and accrued a lot of tickets, that's a huge leg to lean on. And
Yeah.
and our lawyers actually really good at getting people
Mhm.
out. Hence why some of the bad players still have their businesses in operation.
Right.
But I swear his job wouldn't be so hard if they didn't challenge him all the time either. It's like, what do you mean you came up with new ways to break that rule? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, he must just be frustrated because he puts together a strategy and then it's all flipped on its head
Right.
because some new thing came about. And he's like, what? The whole case could change at that point. It's hilarious. You know, it's a wild world that we live in,
Yeah.
and we live in it because of the licensing and its umbrella and what it allows us to do. And we have crazy bylaw stories. In season 1, we've got I forget what episode
Yeah.
number it is off the top of my head, but there's an episode completely about bylaw officers, and what I think it's on Patreon actually, because
Okay.
law enforcement would have to pay to access it. But we
Oh,
talk
it
about
is.
the ways they fuck up, the things that they
Mhm.
do wrong, the funny shit that happens when they get in trouble, because bylaw officers have penises too,
Mhm.
as do cops. It's a wild world. And thank goodness for this crazy license that we live under, because
Yeah.
without it, Muse wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be on the
Mhm.
mic talking to all you guys today.
Definitely.
Oh, goodness. I'm sweating a little bit because bylaw talk gets me a little like nervousness. It's
Definitely.
technical. It's like we want to be on the good side.
Well, that's a bit of a technical episode. I hope you guys found it interesting and we didn't bore you to death. But I think, like I said, I think some of
Sure.
our listeners that are from further might find it really interesting.
Absolutely. It's super interesting. And you know what? If you have something similar in the city or the country that you're in, I'd love to hear about it. Drop in the comments, send us a DM on Patreon, on social media, or even an email through the website of the spa. And let's hear about it,
Mhm.
because what if there's some small town in Germany that's known for unlicensed rub and tugs? Like, who knows? There could be all
Mhm.
these little tidbits everywhere. And
Yeah.
gosh, we know we're not unique. There are countries that are famous for their massage parlors too. Look at Thailand and things like that. And yet Montreal is known for its strip clubs. The West Coast is known for its brothels, and Toronto is famous for its rub and tugs. If
Mhm.
you come to the Six, you've got to get an erotic massage.
Yeah. I-
On that note, guys, I think that wraps it up. I've got
yeah.
nothing left in terms of bylaws, unless I just kept going about politics, and nobody needs to hear that today. Well, thanks, guys, for tuning in. Make sure you like the video, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. In the caption below, you'll find all our social media too if you do want to contact us. Follow along with what we're up to. We try to put some
Mhm.
different things on different platforms. So find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And we'll see you next time. I'm Mise on
Bye,
Mic.
guys.
Bye, guys.